However, Mr. Wiz, there is an Alpha X who does have some of these very lovely statistics. And we found that we both have him as a top 7 or 8 wide receiver in this class. Will you be so kind to tell the lovely people who our little sleeper is, who's no longer a sleeper because everybody seems to love him now?
Yeah, he's gotten pretty gassed up here over the course of the past week, but it's Mr. Javon Baker. No, I mean, when you look at some of his stuff, he really pops off the page from an analytics perspective. I know we talked at Chalk, you kind of brought it up earlier about how ADOT is not sticky. But for somebody like him to, have a season at 17.1 ADOT and still have some of the efficiency that he did is pretty damn impressive. When you look at some of his, kind of career numbers, 2.53 yards per route run for his career. And you want to talk about ceiling, he had a year where 3.61 yards per route run, right? And I think one of the things that's encouraging about him is, where I don't see with somebody like Keon, right? Like Keon, 1.93 versus man for his career yards per route run and 1.84 versus zone. So it's not even like he was, 3 versus zone or 1 versus man. When you look at somebody like Javon Baker, coming in at 2.25 versus man, 2.85 versus zone. So he shows that ability to kind of eat the zone. And look, he's a bigger guy, and if he runs a good time at the 40, I just really think some teams are going to fall in love with him. Yeah, exactly.
Giddy up. And Chalk, here's the game theory. Look, we're still early, and we're having this podcast, so of course everybody's going to steam him up. But right now, he's like fourth, fifth. I mean, certainly a third round rookie pick. Nobody's got him in the first or second round. So, however, we see Keon Coleman going late first round in many a mock. So, if that type of ADP were to hold, Javon Baker is 1,000% the arbitrage, Keon Coleman, A.D. Mitchell play. And we didn't even get to poop on A.D. Mitchell, and same type of data is around him. But what do you think about the idea of, leaning towards a player like Javon Baker late and taking that type of prototype there as opposed to, reaching for Keon Coleman early?
I love that. I love that take. Yeah. I love that idea. As going off about Javon Baker, what my eyes started going towards was, damn, he's this big and he's eating up the zone. Like literally, that's what I was looking at, right? And then Wiz drops it, right? Because, I mean, a guy like Malik Neighbors, right, explosive game breaker, can destroy any zone coverage, makes sense. Javon Baker, like you would say, like, okay, this is a big guy. He probably dominates man, like, plays outside, and your typical Alpha X. But the fact that he could also play against the zone and be basically moved around anywhere in the formation, I mean, he might be, that chess piece type player that, we love to have on our teams. And then, bringing back that kind of prototypical X, body frame on top of that. So really exciting prospect, especially at like the third round. If you're getting him at like the third round in rookie drafts, even, I mean, he's going to be a smash value.
Yeah, we both, Wiz and I both, like, as I was doing my rankings, just looking at the data, looking at, as much film as I could have so far. I haven't watched every player, but we both sort of arrived with him at wide receiver 7 or 8. And of course, he's nowhere near that value. And, so that was exciting. I did notice though, Thor Nystrom loved him. John Lobb loved him. Ray G, loved him, but also said he, thinks he's the greatest player, unironically. I think that was Thor. Like everybody had this sort of like, oh, I saw Cody Carpentier, player profiler, was like, he's the leader in the clubhouse to be the number 1 in the dog rating, DAWG rating. He's got this dog rating. So like this guy is like kind of like the guy, you know what I mean? And so when you talk about asymmetrical upside too, when you see the metrics there and then sort of that narrative kind of fits into, recruited by Alabama, kind of a troublemaker in terms of like just getting along with people. Look, we've heard that before. Odell Beckham and Chad Johnson and you name it, man. There's a lot of successful wide receivers in this league who have been, a little mercurial. So I have no problem with Javon Baker's sort of past as long as, I'm not having to pay, a top 8, rookie pick, which you won't have to. He's going to be a late second at the very steamiest, I feel like, and even then we like him a lot. He feels a lot like a Marvin Mims type player for us last year. Pour one out so far, but we had him as sort of ranked higher than everybody else did. You know what I mean? So we could just nab him at value every time at the end of the second, early third. And I feel like Javon, I almost say Javon Walker every time, which kind of cool. Like but Javon Baker will be able to grab him there every single time. It's wheels up.